Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here with another episode in a New York Beauty Minute, and we're here doing Block 5. Now, this PDF is going to be in our show notes below, so it's really important you get in there. And we've picked, the palette is going to be orange, purple, and green. And we're just going to have a blast with those colors because I don't get to pick out my purples or my oranges very often, so we thought, well, we'll pull them in and play with them for a while. But first, let's do a shout out. Back Door Quilts. No, I don't have a first name, but if you guys do, let me know. They are having a YouTube channel now. I have just subscribed to them, so it looks like there's going to be an interesting little channel there. So when you guys go check them out, please let them know that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you, and I think it will be a nice surprise for them. Also, share, like, and subscribe, and make comments on our videos as well. It helps drive our analytics, and it helps keep our videos moving forward so that we can continue bringing you fun-free, fast, sometimes not so fast, but we can do continue bringing you good videos. My husband and I are just having so much fun doing these videos for you that it's been an interesting little journey here. Also, we have a Facebook group, and if you're interested, please come join. We have a virtual sewing room hosted by Discord, so if you're part of the Facebook community, come join us and you can become part of the sewing room. We also have fabric exchanges by country to keep postal costs down, and all sorts of wonderful, fun community chats. Also, I speak for free, and I talk about elements of design, and I talk about making charity quilts and working with scraps. And I've been asked to give another PowerPoint about a different topic that I will be in the process of creating here. So that's just kind of for the groups that have already had me talk. I'm hoping to get it ready for a January presentation, January of 2026. So, if you're interested, give me a shout on my email, which you can find under my About tab or under the Facebook group. Also, guys, shout outs. We're always looking for shout outs. We always have so much fun with those shout outs because I get to find new channels to subscribe to and watch, and I'm always interested in what other people are doing. So again, the About tab, my email, or you can get a hold of me during the Facebook group. Also, Quilt Bingo hopefully is underway and everybody's having fun with it. It is a skill builder mystery quilt, and you can work at it on the beginning level, the intermediate level, or hard level. And you can also do the beginner and an intermediate if you want. Like if you want to test your skills and try and do other things, you can. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one. And everybody's quilt's going to look a whole lot different depending on which block they decide to make. Zoom sew dates are usually the first Saturday from 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard. I'm in Alberta, Canada, so this is what we do. And I think that's it. So come on in. Let's get to the sewing of New York Beauty 4. Okay, so this is New York Beauty number 5. I said it was number 4 while I was exiting the entrance video. So we have, again, a solid center or like middle piece, and we have another piece, and we have another piece like two sets of foundation paper piecing in here without any kind of band in between, and then the edge, the corner piece. Now I'm going to take these two away because we don't need them right away. We will need them later. And I'm only going to work on one at a time because both of them have the orange, right? Both of these, right? So I don't want to mix them up. So I've got my pieces cut already into strips so that I'm pretty good. I'm pretty confident that I will have enough fabric. And I'm just going to pull the selvage off of this one here, just like that, and put them side by side, and we'll start our little session here off. Now, what's more important about this lesson is how to join these two pieces, these two curves, when they're pieced like this. And we talked about basting, when in doubt, pin. When really in doubt, baste, then pin. This is what we're going to do. We're going to show you how to baste. So the first piece comes with this, and I left my ruler and my add a quarter, hang on. let me just get the stuff that I need to make the actual block. Now I've moved everything. Okay, that's all right. Okay, so let's trim this seam first. Okay, and then we will lay it down. We want it purple side up. So let's get this first seam. Now we're just laying it kind of in place, and we're putting a pin in here. Well, and a pin in here. There, just to give us our first seam, right? And I did pick some rather crazy colors here, and I thought, no, we need some color. We need patterns, otherwise it's gonna look like tone on tones and, you know, oranges and whites. And it was like, yeah, let's get some fun stuff going in here. Okay, I'll get this out of the way too, because that's okay. Yeah, so I just ripped these strips apart just to get something that's a little bit bigger. Sometimes when you're doing foundation paper piecing, you know, some people are like, well, how do I judge how much fabric I'm going to need, or how much this or that I'm going to need? I always say make sure you have at least twice as big an area than you think you're going to need. And people are like, huh? Well, by the time you trim and you fiddle and you make, this is a good project to make other little things out of, right? So now if we were doing this for a real, you know, fancy competition quilt or whatever, I'd have my ironing board here with, you know, everything ready to go. Right? Wow, that's really bright. Wow, is that a bright orange? There's not very many of them, so yeah, this is a really bright orange. But you know, to get those precision, you know, get it all cut the right way and everything. But I mean, we're making a baby quilt eventually out of these blocks, which will be fun. It'll be a fun little baby quilt. Now I'm just going to lay that back just like so, and now we're going to cut the purple on the other side, right? This purple, because this is the next orange we want to put on. Now you'll notice these are not numbered, and there's a reason they're not numbered, is because they don't have to be numbered. You can do this any way you wish. And this is something that people, you know, forget about foundation paper piecing. I just cut this off because it's a great big honking piece that's going to go. This can go back into my string bin, by the way, or my scraps. That'll be nice size for something later on. And, you know, people forget that, yeah, you don't need all this stuff, right? Okay, and I'm just going to pull this apart if I can. Oh, come on, it's like 3 stitches that are in there. I cut my finger a while back, and we're filming ahead, so I haven't really healed. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember why I don't like working with these bandages. I really do. It's like, oh, what a pain. What a pain. Okay, now let's get this next orange piece on, and we're just sewing on the line. So at this point, if you've been sewing along, doing all the mini Mondays and all the rest of the stuff, your foundation paper piecing skills are probably really good, you know, and that's what this is all about, right? Is mastering some skill. And now we're mastering how to sew curves, right, with foundation paper piecing. And, you know, and it's just, it's kind of, after a while, it's like, yeah, wow, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. You feel more confident about yourself too, right? And when you learn how to master your curves, you have, all of a sudden, you have so much more, you know, so many more blocks that you can play with, right? I mean, that's the way to do it. Okay, here, I'll just... And if some of you are wondering what these white things are, my husband gave me a huge roll of them, and we thought we could use them for labels, because I need labels. And what happened was I wrote on them. I made a whole bunch of labels and I figured, okay, I need all these labels. So I wrote on them, and the ink smudges. Doesn't matter how long you leave the ink dry. On these, it is a smudge. It is a project of smudges. And it's like, ah. Anyway, so, yeah, I know. Now, the other thing about this block number 5 that we're doing, is the purple and the green touch each other. The orange do not, right? Because the way I've laid it out, the orange is on the other side. But you have to kind of match up where the purple points are and the green points. Like, you have to match them up, right? So this block takes a little bit more effort to do, but it is a beautiful block when it's done, right? So, you know, yay team. All right, let's do this. Okay, I'm just gonna cut this off just like so. My finger cringes every time I get the rotary cutter anywhere near it. My cringes in pain. I'm just making it a more manageable size, right? And then I'm going to flip this over and cut out the orange piece that goes on the edge. There. And another bit goes into my crumb bin. Oops. Okay, there. Now we got the other purple piece on. Just perfect. This is just a perfect bright brights, quite brights, you know, bright on bright. I don't mind bright on bright. I think bright on bright is fun. Yeah, so anyways, these labels are plastic slippery. So yeah, I don't know what they're from. So I'm now using them as tape in my sewing room, and I'm okay with that because I have a massive roll. And I do mean massive roll of them, and I might as well use them. Use them for something like taping together these bigger patterns, right? You know, when you have 4 sheets of fabric or paper coming out of your printer to make one square, you know, you might as well use them to put this all together. And first we're going to cut this off here, and that can go as a nice scrap. Okay, and then we take the last orange piece here for this piece. Now, yeah, there we go, and that can go in my scrap bin or my crumb bin. There. Now, two more little pieces of orange. Bright orange. Isn't that bright? That's a nice bright color. I wish I would have had more. I thought about it earlier. I could have done more K-facet stuff, but oh well. We were working with, I didn't want to work with the whole palette, his whole palette of color, but now I'm regretting it. Oh well. Next time we make a New Year beauty. New Year beauties are one of my favorite quilts because they always look like they're moving even though they're not. The points provide an illusion of movement, right? And it's kind of a neat effect actually. Okay, here we go. Another leader ender. And the leader enders will go into a charity quilt at some point. So this is a perfect kind of project to use them with. Okay, now you want to make sure it's a 1/4 inch generous, right? So there we go. There, perfect. Okay, get that off. Oh no, I need that. Come back here. Sorry. I forgot I had another piece. Let me get that back. I was so thrilled I was close to being done, and I threw it away before. Oh well, that's okay. Wouldn't be the first time I threw something away and then had to go grab it again. Because, oh yeah, it's like downsizing. Yeah, you throw something away because, wow, I've never used this, and then next week you need it. It's like, we're getting older, so we should be thinking about my husband and I are getting older, so we need to be thinking about downsizing. And every time I mention it, now he cringes. Because he doesn't like the idea of downsizing. And he says when we die, it's not our problem. It's like, and my daughters are like, oh yeah, it's ours. Yeah, gee, thanks, you know. I mean, eventually there will be some downsizing, but we are surprised, like, how much stuff we had in Tucson that we brought home with us. That was kind of a shocker. That, you know, kind of like, wow, we really have a lot of stuff now, right? So, okay, there we go. So now I can push this off because it's a different size. Now, what I'm saying is, you see where the greens and the purples meet, right? Like, I know I kind of, here, like, go like this. Maybe it'll make more sense to you. So the greens and the purple meet. So now I'm just going to repeat this using green and orange, right? And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to baste this together, and that will speed up the process here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you another method of doing this. Now, as you can see, the greens are going to match up to the purples, right? Like, I could have made a diamond if I wanted to, but I wanted to show you how, like, crazy this could get. And these New York beaters are so much fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out our pins. Yes, this is another way of doing this. This is all that is. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to take where you have to sew right there, and you're going to punch it into where you have to sew here. That's number one. Okay. Oops. And I spilled a bunch of pins. No, don't fall out. Okay. Now I'm just going to put that down. Oops. Of course, it's not going to let me do this because there's too much paper. The paper's too heavy. If I'd have used onion skin, it would have been easier. Okay. So now I want to get the other point. I must make these points, right? These are non-negotiables. These, when you're doing point on New York Beauty, sometimes you have to, you know, work a little bit harder at it to make it happen, right? So now I have a big needle, and I'm just going to make a few stitches, just a couple of stitches to get me going here. Just here, because when you're in doubt, this is when you baste. And this is a good cheat. Just stay in the seam allowance as you sew, right? And like I say, because you're sewing with paper, oops, I did something dumb. No, I did not. Okay, because you're sewing with paper, you know, like there's a little more pressure and you can't rock, but then your stitches can be really big, right? So keep that in mind too. So we're just taking that out just to move it out of the way. And then you're not putting too many knots in there or anything silly. You haven't got thread conditioner. This is thread that's not even going to stay. So what you're doing is you're basting this area where you're at the start of, and you could baste like 5 stitches an inch. Like, you don't have to be like crazy careful, but you do have to have some accuracy. Okay, there we go. Here. There. And because if you said stuff is tape, it's like 3 times harder than it needs to be. Oh well. Now, basting's a cheat. Well, not really. Basting's been used many times. You know, people are having a hard time making seams work. You know, sometimes we'll just baste it and be done, because it's actually faster especially if you're thinking you're going to have problems. Just baste it. Baste it and be done with it, and just, you know, and if it's hand basting, fine. I could turn my sewing machine down to 6 stitches an inch or whatever, and I could baste this quickly. But the fact is that it's stiff under my sewing machine is not helpful, right? So you want to make sure you've got your basting in. Oops, I got a knot. Now I got a knot. I got another knot. No, I do not have a knot. There is no knot. Be one with the knot. Yeah, I should have got some thread conditioner. There we go. There is a knot. How come it's not one way and not the other way? Well, that's weird. Okay, well, we'll just pull that through and hope for the best. There we go. And now we'll just tie it off with the knot in place. Because it's basting. It's not science. You know, you don't have to go through and do a whole bunch of, you know, fancy stitches or anything else like that. I'm just basting. Basting sometimes, like I say, basting sometimes is much faster than actually doing, you know, the sewing work. There we go. And we don't have as many knots. We wouldn't have had any knots whatsoever if I'd have just taken some time to get some thread conditioner, but no, that's not. Of course. Well, okay, I'll just cut it like that. There we go. Put another knot in it. I could have left that knot in and used it for more basting, but oh well. Okay, now let's get the rest of this done. And you just want to be on this side, on this side of the seam allowance when you're basting. Of course. Basting, sometimes paper piecing is hard, but you know, it is worth it. It is worth the final result. There. But and maybe when in doubt, pin. When really in doubt, baste. To make, like, basically it's pre-sewing your stuff. Okay, there we go. And I've made it. There. Actually, that does not look that bad. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the knot to the front. Give it a couple other knots. There. And the next knot point, so you can match this one up with a pin and sew it right away, but sometimes stuff slips and slides. So now I'm going to make sure that this point matches. So I'm going to go through the top and I'm going to go through the bottom. Oops, too far. There, perfect. Perfect. There we go. Now they're just, you can slip this in between the threads, make a knot, and then just quickly go through the rest of this. Now I suddenly don't have enough thread to do all the basting. Well, that's weird. Oh yes, because I had to cut a bunch off. Now, see, you can do more than one stitch. But like I say, stay on the inside of the seam allowance, not on the part you're sewing. You want to be able to remove your basting stitch after you're finished sewing. Like I say, this is just a, you know, if some beginners like really terrified to do this, yes, you can do this instead. It's allowed. Anything to get the block done. You know, I think sometimes we you know, forget that, well, sometimes we just need to get things done. Okay. Now, when you baste this, this will not lie flat. Oh, look at that. I'm gonna just go. Yes, I'm in the seam allowance. It's good. There we go. Yeah. Get this right to where we started. I don't know if you guys can see me with this. But once you baste this, it will not lay flat. So if you're panicking now because it will not lie flat, don't worry about it. You've done it right. There. Now. And you look at both sides, and with both sides now you're in that seam allowance, right? It's just another way of doing it. You don't have to do it this way. If you want to just go for it and do the pin method, or, you know, whatever method you want to go for it, go for it. Do it. Yeah. You know, just I'm trying to show people other options. Now, I have left this part open, and because what I'm going to do is I am going to pin this, right? And I'll show you why here in a second. So you're going to pin your first part open, and you're going to pin it to where this goes in, to the first point. Yes, perfect. Wow, perfect. First time and you think I actually know what I'm doing. Today. Okay. And now, in order to pin paper on paper, it's a lot of maneuvering. Right? This is why people don't like doing this. And you can't take that tiny little bite that you were able to when you had, you know, just doing like fabric, right? So here's the seam allowance. There's the seam allowance. There, back there. There. And, there we go. And just one more. Now see why this won't lay flat, right? This will not. It absolutely refuses to lay flat, and there's nothing I can do about it until we sew it. Now, like I say, this is out of the New York Beauties. It's the first one we've had where we've actually had to pin and baste, and we actually had to put two pieces together that were foundation paper piece. Go slowly. Normally I'd say don't go over your pins, don't sew over your pins, but in this case we'll just go slow. Don't hit them all of a sudden at like racehorse speed, because that would be bad. And now there we go. So now you're being where you're being basted. So you want to make sure you're catching that line, or trying to sew under your basting. Like where the basting's on this side of the needle. Yeah. Oof. Wow. Oh, uh-oh. Oh no, it's coming apart. Oh well, then I guess we're... Yeah, the fabric, or the paper, actually fell apart on me. So yeah, That's not good. Oh well, we'll see what it looks like. You know, sometimes they fix themselves, you know. Okay, and another leader ender. Because we can. Oops. There we go. Get one of these. Alright, I'm afraid to look, but we'll see. Okay, so this now will lay flat. There's a lot of problems because of these things making this, you know. But let's take a look at the front. How bad can it be? We've got pretty decent points. Hooray! And we missed a whole bunch of fabric right here. See that? So I have to take this apart. I will take this apart right now, and it must have got shoved underneath. So I will take this apart, and you have to take it apart very, very gently, right, when you're doing this, because you're working on the paper, right? Because this is where your stitches, are. And not only your stitches, your basting stitches are here too. So, yeah. Okay, so I will take this apart, and I will, do you see where I missed? It just folded under. And I was like, okay, so let's get this. Let's try this. Sometimes this works for me. Most of the time it does not. Let's see if I can't get it to work today. Please work. Okay. Okay, and it's such a little bit of here that is just out to lunch. That just went, oh yeah, we're not going to participate in this, in the block. I've decided I'm not doing this. I'm not being folded. Okay, so now, one more, another one. Okay, let me just finish sewing this little area here. And let's see, we get the fabric out and then flip it this way to make sure that it's all out there. Oh yes, it is. It was. Okay. Oh, yeah, I need a couple more stitches. Hang on. I know. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to call this there. So I've opened it up and I've laid it flat, and I've got the purple now, and I'm just going to pull this off, this paper off, because wow, what a mess. And we're just going to sew it. We're just going to sew it in place. Okay, so I'm just going to get this under here and we'll sew it. And sometimes you have to do that. This is real life sewing, right? Sometimes there's things that no matter what you do, it's not working, and you know, you just have to kind of like wing it, because that's what happens all the time in a sewing room. You know, none of us are perfect, but it's a good teaching moment for you guys. Okay, there we go. All right, and now I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna give it a good iron, and then we'll come back with a ta-da moment. So here is our In a New York Beauty Minute block number 5. This one we had to, I showed you how you could base this, but if you wanted to pin, you could pin. If you wanted to peel your paper off and then do your, like, putting them together by pinning or by just winging it, you could. Just make sure you don't stretch the seam, because you have to make all these points, right? So you can do this the way you want to do this, but I give you a different idea, right? I mean, it's just another idea. So I do hope you're sewing along with these. Now there's going to be 7 more of these to do, because I'm doing 12. This is number 5. And you can kind of see the color story here is, you know, like all the crazy oranges and the greens. And we're just having a lot of fun with purple. And I pulled out some K facet with the purple and the orange. So we're kind of tying stuff together. And we have fabric left over. So these colors might make appearances in other blocks as we go along. But yes, it's okay to cut into your fat quarters. So I do hope you're trying these and working along with me through these. These have been so much fun to do for you and draw out for you. Anyways, I hope life is treating you gently and your 1/4 inch seam is right on the money. So you stay well and take care until we see each other again. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life and you know your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your life and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.